The Truth Hangover. The next morning, Devon woke up feeling emotionally and physically exhausted. She had tossed and turned all night, the wine keeping her body hot and her mind awake till an ungodly hour. She had purposefully gone to bed before Christian got home so she could process everything she had heard. Between the Joe confession and finding out that Christian had been in love with her all this time, she didn't know how to broach the subject. She could hear him rustling around in the kitchen, so she dragged herself out of bed, pulling on an old school sweatshirt over her pajamas, mindful not to repeat Nipplegate again. Morning, sunshine. He gave her a quick once over as she padded past him, straight to the coffee pot. Hi, she said as she moved around him to grab a piece of toast. He was weirdly close to her, and their kitchen was not big enough for this type of dance. Can you, move anywhere? Just move one step over, please. She guided him just out of the kitchen and into the doorframe so she could have space to breathe. She thought his presence would be calming, but it felt like he was suffocating all of the air out of the room. Yeah, you could be nicer about it, you know. He took a sip from his coffee and walked into the living room, plopping down on the couch. Devon winced. She knew her tone was wrong, and this is not how she wanted to start her Saturday. I'm sorry. Yesterday was just a long night. She took a seat on the opposite end of the couch and curled her legs under herself to face him. He looked handsome in this light. His light hair fell in front of his eyes, and Devon resisted the urge to brush it back with her fingers. Yeah, listen, about yesterday, I need to talk to you. Did you say that you were working for Mr. Ingram? His tone was light, but Devon could tell there was something more to his question. Yeah, he's my boss. Didn't I tell you that already? She sipped her coffee and heard the toaster pop. She moved to get up, but Christian put a hand out to pause her. Wait, can you hang on just a minute? She took a seat, this time closer to him. Mr. Ingram is your boss, as in Mr. Dave Ingram? Devon furrowed her brow. She definitely hadn't used his first name last night. Yep, sure is. How do you know him? He's my dad's stepbrother, the asshole who wouldn't pay for Jessie's college. Devon almost dropped her coffee into Christian's lap. What? She was shocked and her mind was racing. Yep, but when you said his name, I finally put the pieces together. I knew he worked in production, but I didn't realize it was a Broadway theater. You seem to be working for my sworn enemy. He chuckled, but there was no humor in his voice. Christian, oh my God, I didn't know. What do you want me to do? I'll quit. I'll go in there on Monday morning and I'll tell them that I can't work for them. I love the enthusiasm, Dev, but no, don't quit. You need the money. Ideally, I would love for you to not continue working for him for the rest of our lives, but there's no reason for you to quit. I just wanted you to know so you weren't surprised in case we cross paths. I'm so sorry. He doesn't come across as a very mean-spirited man. If anything, he's just kind of checked out. His wife, on the other hand, is a freaking everywhere. She doesn't give him any room to breathe. She watched Christian wince ever so slightly. I'm sorry, we don't need to talk about it. I'll figure something out. I promise not to continue working for your sworn enemy while we continue being roommates. I appreciate that, Devon. You don't need to quit, but maybe let's just keep the work talk to a minimum for now. I would prefer not to think about punching that guy in the face when we leave for work in the morning. Oh God, does looking at me make you think of him? I haven't even considered that. She was spiraling. No. Looking at your face has never once made me think of Dave Ingram, and I won't let that start happening now, okay? Okay. They sipped their coffee in silence. Devon didn't know how to break the ice. She thought about bringing up what Beth and Kira had said about Christian's sad, drunk night, but wasn't really sure how to be nonchalant about it. When he finally spoke up, she was relieved at the distraction. So, how were Kira and Beth last night? You guys looked like you were having a lot of fun. They were good. We took a few trips down memory lane, which I'm not sure was an entirely good thing. No? Why's that? I just learned a lot of stuff I didn't know. She watched as he shifted uncomfortably in his seat. Like, what kind of stuff? Like, Devon, you can tell me. What did you learn about me last night? He looked at her somewhat amused. Who says it's about you? She was suddenly defensive. Well, you're acting really weird and Kira's a gossip, and you haven't seen either of them in a while, so I imagine when I left, the topic of me came up. A little bit narcissistic, don't you think? She scoffed, although he was spot on. Sure, or I just know the three of you fairly well. He drank his coffee, satisfied at calling her bluff. Devon sat there trying to find the right words, and Christian gave her the time she needed to think, but before she could fully form a sentence, an emotionally cohesive thought, she blurted out, Kira said that you were dating Kara and broke up with her for me, and when I broke up with Jack and then you got sad drunk, and why didn't you ever tell me about it? She exhaled all of her air out and leaned back against the couch as mildly exhausted, coming down from the adrenaline high. I'm sorry. What was that? Something about Kira, and did I hear Kara? He stood up and put the new piece of toast in the toaster, taking a bite of the now cold piece before walking back to the couch. Hey, that was mine. She tried to grab it from him, but he pulled away. It's ice cold. I put another piece in for you, and I'll even put butter on it. She playfully shoved his shoulder, and he pushed back, bringing them closer together. Devin hadn't realized how or when they had begun sitting in the middle of the couch, but she liked the proximity to him. It was close and familiar, and she loved it. Now, back to what you were saying. Kira said what about me? He was curious and surprisingly not defensive. She said that you were dating a girl named Kara. He nodded and she continued, and said that you and Kara broke up after Jack and I did, after a party. Devin studied his face, but couldn't tell what he was thinking. And I just want to say, I didn't know you felt that way about me, and I'm sorry I broke your heart. She felt good about saying it in that way. It felt like she was letting herself off the hook for something she didn't know she had done. You didn't break my heart. Devin sat back, astounded. Yes, I did. No, you didn't. I did abroad, and apparently a few times since then. I love the enthusiasm, Dev, but you didn't break my heart. Not abroad, never actually. Kara and I broke up because she moved to California for her consulting job, and I didn't want to go. I would have lost out on a promotion here. Have you really spent all this time thinking that I'm some sad puppy who never got over you? His tone was hurt, even mad. I mean, no. Yes, maybe. It's just, I always felt like you were waiting in the wings, and maybe I never gave you a chance. Beth and Kira made it sound like you were waiting for me, but I was always dating someone else. Jesus, give me some credit. You make it sound like I fell hopelessly in love with you and haven't managed to get over you in the last 6 years. I'm not that pathetic, Devin, not by a long shot. He stood up and went to the kitchen, spreading butter over her toast with more force than was entirely necessary. When he handed it to her, she noticed he made sure their hands didn't touch. And another thing, he was pacing now. You didn't break my heart. I never waited for you. You and I never even had a thing, so I don't know where you get the idea that I'd be pining after you. Now it was Devin's turn to be upset. Hey, I didn't say you were waiting for me. Beth and Kira made it sound that way, and don't be cruel. You and I both know we almost had something when we were abroad. It might not have turned into anything, but I cared about you. Caring about someone and loving someone are two different things, Devin. You always do this. You say, I care about you, and you say it like it's nothing. You said it abroad, you said it after Nev, and during senior year. Hell, you said it to me when you were with Jack, but in my bed. So what does that really tell you? Devin reared back in shock. Never in a million years did she think that Christian would throw Jack in her face like that. I don't know, Christian. What does it tell you? Now she was standing, and they were facing off on the other side of the coffee table. It tells me that maybe Kira and Beth got it wrong. Maybe you've been the one who's been in love with me all this time. Every time you and Jack broke up, you called me. You moved into my apartment when you had nowhere else to go, and I have always, always taken you in. In all the years that I've known you, I've never turned you away, but god damn it, Devin, enough is enough. Let's go back to being roommates who don't talk to each other, and when you find another place to move to, I suggest you move out. Oh, you have some nerve. You're going to kick me out because I came to you when I needed help. Isn't that what friends do, Christian? Friends help friends. Friends do help friends, but we're not friends, Devin. We never were. We were nothing. Then we were hooking up, and as I recall, you ghosted me on more than one occasion each time that piece of shit Jack came back around. You use people, Devin, and you're using me now. So why don't you stop pretending that this isn't anything more than it's always been? You're using me, and I'm telling you that it's done. You've got 2 weeks, and then I want my keys back. He turned and walked down the hallway to get his coat. Fine, she shouted at his back. Fine, he shouted over his shoulder before pulling the door closed behind him. Devin sank back down into the couch and didn't bother holding in her tears. They burst out of her and dropped into her buttered toast, making her even sadder than she was before. How had a perfectly normal conversation gone so awry? She had no idea, and she didn't know how to fix it.